Attitudable opens the door to a new world of people transforming lives and the way we do business. Today, I am very honored to have with me a great author, Anthony Alencar, who joins us today. Anthony is a language professional with decades of experience as a conference interpreter and translator in New York City and around the world. He's the author of the book The Human Interpreter: Meaning and Discernment in an Age of AI, a book that I loved reading and I found some weeks ago, and draws on his frontier experience bridging cultures and ideas to explore what human connection truly demands and what AI cannot replace. Welcome, Anthony.
Dolores, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. It's an honor to have been invited by you to speak to your audience in this wonderful podcast. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. I really love the book and, well, just the title, The Human Interpreter. Can you tell us how did you manage to, I don't know, select that title that means so much nowadays?
Yes, it was actually a pretty easy choice. When you know more than I do, probably that when you're talking to other language professionals, the subject always comes up, right? About technology, about AI, and things like that. And every now and then, someone would use the word human. But if this is done by a human, or this translation were done with more of a human perspective, and this and that. So out of that, I of course chose the title, The Human Interpreter, and I think it's very appropriate to stamp that on the world out there to say, hey, human interpreters are here. We're still around. Of course, I chose interpreter, but I do a play also in translation. So I use the word translation here and there, almost sometimes interchangeably, just to honor every professional that works with language.
Yes, you are have I mean you are both on both sides, let's say. And do you think there's a risk sometimes when our clients or some people think or perhaps don't realize what is lost when you hand everything? I mean, all the communication, the translation, also interpretation sometimes only to machines and not to the human professional?
Of course. Well, Dolores, technology is amazing. I'm a fan of technology. The technology we have nowadays, especially with AI, is remarkable, and it's a reality, right? But back to your question, I think yes. I mean, the what a human brings to the table, I think that's hard to replace. We bring not only in language, right? Because there's also unspoken language and communication. There's a sensitivity and sensibility that we bring to assignments, and the human connection is very important. And I think the biggest companies now are starting to see that humans are extremely important. Just the other day, I was reading a piece of news that talked about how some companies that were using technology are really going back to using humans. They mentioned a specific bank here in the US, and they're really advertising now that, hey, we have people again to talk to you. So it's a circle. We're still trying to figure out where everything is going, what's happening around us. Like I said, technology and humans side by side is something amazing, but nothing can replace what we're doing here. This human connection, right? Nothing can replace this.
Yes, so true. And how we as professionals need to, in a way, sell ourselves or tell the clients, yes, about all that aspect that perhaps at least speaking by myself, I'm not used to, because now we have in a way to go out and explain what we do. Yes.
True, true. You have to be the more human, the better. I think
Mm.
it sounds simple, but it's not. For example, your communication with the client is not just about your job, it's about yourself. When you talk to a client, you're not just trying to sell a specific translation or a specific interpretation event or anything like that. I don't believe in that because I come from the world of sales. I used to be a salesperson,
Mm.
um, even being bilingual. So I know for a fact that when you're selling something, you're not selling necessarily the product. You're selling, in a way, yourself, and that's very important. And I learned that in sales, and I bring that to the language world. You have to be able to uh, be likable. I talk about that in the book, how
Yeah.
some specific qualities that you have to have as a human being first and foremost, even before being a professional. As a human being, you have these qualities. Of course, nobody's perfect, especially
Yes.
in large cities like Buenos Aires, like New York City. I mean, the
Mm.
hustle and bustle and the coming and going. It's not easy to maintain and cultivate this humanity. But if you can, at least every day, wake up in the morning and say, hey, I know I have my problems. Everybody has issues. Everybody has problems in their lives. Everybody's going through something, whether it be a family problem, financial problem, health
Mm.
problems. But if you can wake up in the morning and you say, hey, I am a human. I'm going to make this work. I have this under control. I think you have a great advantage. So back to your question, when you
Mm.
have that in you, that essence of being human, I think it shows more often than not. As I gain experience more and more in the language world, I noticed that it's not always the person who has the best resume or even the language skills that gets the job, right? It's the person who can, in a way, and I'm going to use this phrase, but I don't want to be too commercial about it. But you sell yourself, right? Um,
Yes.
by being more human.
Yes, and you share throughout the book different experiences that you had by being in so many different settings and from different parts of the world. And I would love if you can tell us, because you worked, as you told me before, in Buenos Aires, in Europe, in the US, in different countries all over the world. And what have you learned about all the different cultural differences also in the business that you had to, to do, especially now that everything is more perhaps globalized, AI and hybrid sometimes, yes? So
Yes,
what can you tell us?
yes. I remember my first time translating or interpreting in Buenos Aires. I was just a kid, and I remember I went with my parents. They were involved with nonprofit churches, and there were some we call them gringos from the U.S. that came to
Yes.
Brazil, Argentina, I think Chile, Paraguay, and I went because I had lived in the U.S. already. So I went with the group to interpret, and we had so much fun. And cultural differences are amazing. I live in a city, and I mentioned this in the book as well. I talk a lot about New York
Yeah.
because it's an amazing city for us for language professionals.
Multicultural.
Oh my God. Every corner you're hearing a different language, you eat different foods, you meet different people with different cultures, religions, different customs, and it's amazing. An amazing place to live. But going back to the humanity side of it, every culture, human, every person has, especially in society, has things in common. I remember a time when I lived in California and I got to be friends with Iranians, people from Iran. I hadn't
Mm.
been. close to them. What an amazing culture! They call themselves Persians, and so
Yeah.
lovable, so family oriented. And at one point, I was living in Texas, completely different people. But you know what? Everywhere I've been in the world, and I'd like to go to many more places, but everywhere I've been in the world, humans in their essence, they share the same things. They share the same joys. They share the same moments of sadness. They share the same aspirations. They share the same desires. And so cultures, I'm in love with cultures. I could talk about this all day and about my experiences with different cultures, especially as a New Yorker. But I want to focus this wonderful question in the fact that we all have things in common. And that's what's beautiful about the human race.
Yes. And how do you or what can you recommend us as professionals, language professionals? How can we be more empathic perhaps, or more um, have like an attitude of being more able to see the other as not only, as you said, a client, or but just as a person who needs to communicate with another, and how we can like grow on that aspect? What can
Yes,
you
I think
recommend us?
there are practical things that you can start doing. The most important thing is being real.
Mm,
But sometimes, for example, I have friends who are more serious, so they keep a straight
mm,
face because that's their personality sometimes. I went I think it was last year. New York has a lot of parades. Every day you go out, there's
mm,
people on the streets celebrating something. And I think it was in a European country. And then a few days later, I went to a parade of a Latin American country. It's completely different. The European parade, they were serious. Nobody, few people smiling, very quiet. And then you go to the Latin parade. I don't have to say anything. It was noisy and people. So there are differences of cultures and personalities, but I think you create a balance, right? Even if you are maybe an introvert. And I talked a little bit about that, how to gain more confidence in the book, how to be more likable, how to acquire these things. So, for example, try smiling, not a forced smile. A smile brings smiles. And sometimes you see
mm,
someone and you smile, they'll smile back to you. So small things, small acts of humanity, right? A good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening, or a gesture, right? Of of being kind, of being a gentleman. The definition of a gentleman is a person who
mm,
is thinking about others first, right? It doesn't matter who you are, what you have in your bank account, where you're from, what language, what culture, but putting the other first. Sometimes, right? It comes back 100 times fold. I have found professionally, personally, in every sense of the word, thinking about others. What's Dolores going through today? What can I do to make Dolores feel better today? Maybe a word, or maybe a question, or maybe I was just now this morning. I was at a job and I saw someone who was a little upset. And I said, what can I do to make them feel better? And I had nothing to gain with that. It wasn't a professional attitude, but it comes back to you professionally as well and in every sense. So I think this humanity is what we have to practice, right? Small things, small steps. Lose if you're shy, right? Try to break through that I have two kids, and I always try to impress on them that you have to break this eggshell and come out and communicate and talk to people, and they try to do it. And I remember I'm not perfect. I'm far from perfect. Sometimes I get shy, but I know that if I do something, doors will open. So these
yeah.
small gestures, Dolores, I think it's what we're kind of missing these things nowadays. We're losing them.
Yes, we tend to forget that we are humans because I believe that sometimes we are all day with AI, a new tool, a new
Yes,
thing to
maybe
apply,
yes,
how we can be better, faster, more
yes.
productive, like
Oh my
everything. And we tend to forget our own
yes.
nature.
Yes, yes.
How
And then
hard.
we miss out on opportunities because sometimes I see people, for example, trying to get ahead professionally, which is a great goal if you want to get ahead, if you want to grow in your profession. But and then you go out and you ask AI, "Hey, what should I do?" AI is going to give you wonderful advice as well. But
Mm.
being human, that's the first step. Being human. Sometimes you try to send out 100 emails instead of going somewhere and meeting someone, right? Doing some kind of. I talk a little bit about this natural networking, right? I'm really I'm coming.
Yes,
I'll have a new seminar, a new webinar seminar coming out about natural networking, right? What can you do to be a natural networker instead of a forced one? Nothing worse than a forceful networker, someone who's there who wants to meet you and they're all stiff and just try to meet you for a professional gain. That doesn't work.
yeah. Yes, like be more you yourself. And
Yes.
there are many people like, yes, you're right.
Yeah.
I think that all that 100 emails and that massive kind of things that we used to do or perhaps used to work some years ago
Yeah.
nowadays are not any longer useful because people you can do that with an AI or with
Yes.
you know but you
Yeah.
yourself like meeting your next door client or potential client
Yeah.
might be more
Yeah.
productive. I love that.
Yeah, sometimes it's a lot more productive. The other day, I was um, I was doing what you were doing, interviewing with some friends of mine of the Spanish division of the ATA
Yeah.
for a podcast with Jose Castro. And
Ah,
Jose was
yeah.
talking about that. Jose is amazing. I think he has the most followers on social media for
Yes,
in the
he's
language world. But Jose was talking about that. He said sometimes you go on a thread instead of creating this content that everybody's creating to find work or to grow professionally. You go on a thread and you make a comment. Hey, I like what you just go to a company's post, right? A social media post and make a comment. Sometimes you connect with someone who works at that company, right? Naturally, it doesn't have to be forced. I know, especially us in Latin America, we have a hard time. Americans just do it. They don't care. They just do it in order to grow. But sometimes nosotros Latinos, Latins, we have this fear of approaching people kind of professionally, but with a human heart. And I find that when we do that, Latin Americans, we get ahead of other people, because we
Mm.
are naturally like that. And sometimes applying these concepts are so important, and we tend to forget.
Yes, so true. It's
Yeah.
our cultural essence that
Yes.
we need
Yes.
to break and work more on. Yes.
Yes.
And mainly as well, perhaps as interpreter, you are more open because you are used to, speak up and all that.
Yes.
But
Yes.
translators tend to be more like isolated or introvert.
Yes. Yes.
So it's kind of a challenge to
Yes,
speak up
yes,
and
and I
all.
talk I talk about that. I have a chapter. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have a chapter where I start with some studies regarding interpreters and translators, right? How
I
they are
love
different,
that.
and it is true. It is true.
So true.
Translators are writers, right? Introspective introverts for the most part, and interpreters are not. But again, that cannot be an excuse. You have to work on this other side as well, because in life, not just in as a professional. For example, you're trying to connect with someone. You're gonna have to learn some of these qualities, right? If you wanna in life in general.
Yes, so true. And Anthony, can you share perhaps what's, in your opinion, the most perhaps underrated communication skill that you see or that you perhaps have faced in your business?
Hmm.
Something that you
I
noticed?
think there are many, but I think reading the room, and
Mm,
I talk about this in a section of the book. You got to read the room sometimes, right? A communicator reads the room. He knows what is unspoken, right? He
mm,
knows what's going on. He doesn't try too hard. And this is something you acquire, I would say, a lot with experience and being an observer. People are too anxious sometimes, especially in the professional arena, to make things work,
mm.
and they forget to step back. I do that. The other day, I was interpreting here in New York at an event, and it was a famous company and famous people around, and you get there and you get excited, and then you notice some people are not liking what you're doing because they think you're trying to steal their their job or something like that, and then you step back, you read the room, you put yourself in a position where you fit the puzzle, but yet you can still stand out as a professional, but you're reading the room, you knowing what's going on. And reading the room is one of the greatest qualities human beings can have. Reading the room, knowing what's going on around you, listening first. I'm a talker, I talk a lot. and and it's a problem
But you
because I
listen.
have to, yeah, I have to listen. Sometimes I have to listen and observe. That's how you grow.
And that's hard because that gives you, I think, experience or just being there. How do you acquire that skill? Because it's
Yeah,
not easy.
it's not easy. It's not easy. It's by mistakes that you make. I shouldn't have said that. I should have
Mm,
done something different. And you can apply this to, you can read the room, for example, when someone asks you for a quote. The
mm,
email is telling you more sometimes than what is just written there. What's this company about? What's this event about? What's this job about? How many other interpreters are receiving this? What can I say? One word sometimes that can make the difference on my response. And so when I say read the room, is really being aware, right? Having an awareness of what's going on around
mm. Yes, I love that. And you talked about, you wrote, sorry, in the book about that, and that we as professionals, of course, we know both of our combination languages, but we need to work, as you said, on ourselves, on all
you.
that
Yes.
skills that make us a good professional too.
Yes, yes, that's very important. I do talk also the second part of the book. I talk more practical things. Work on your language, work on your accent, work on your business skills, work on. But you have to work on yourself. I think the essence of the book is just work on yourself as a human. See what's hurt in you. Sometimes
Yes.
our hurt comes out. I've been in events. I've been in workplaces where the atmosphere becomes heavy because someone just came in the room and everybody goes,
Mm.
"Oh my God, I can't believe this person is here," and it's
It
unfortunate. And
happens.
maybe it happens. Maybe it's me one day. I hope not. I hope I have learned,
No.
but it's true. It's true. I've seen people say hurtful things, and that hurts me so much, to other professionals, make a comment. And I think this is the most important. Work on yourself as a human being first and
Yes.
foremost. Hey, and I'm the first one. I have to work a lot on myself. I'm not saying I have it nailed down, Dolores, but I think going back to what you said, yes, the
It's a
human side of it.
never
Yes,
ending work. Yes.
true.
And Anthony, of course, apart from your book that is a must read for all of us,
Thank you. Thank.
do you have another like leadership book or some book that you recommend in order to grow on that, on ourselves as humans?
There's so much material. I wouldn't point. Nothing comes to mind right now.
Like, yeah.
Why? Because and I might say I think Man in Search of Meaning by Viktor Frankl is
Mm,
a
I
must
love
read,
that.
and books like that. Yes, books like that. But we are in an era where we've never lived what we're living right now with technology. We're
Mm,
privileged on one end, but we're still trying to figure out. People are still trying. Philosophy is trying to figure out what's going on. Philosophers are trying to predict the future. At the same time, they don't have a reference, or they have little reference. Right? We talk about with Bauman with liquid modernity. He kind
mm,
of predicted what's going on right now. So there's a
yeah.
lot of material you can use. Especially if you're trying to become a better human. There's a lot of material out there. I would say, just in general, just go out and read what makes you better today. Now,
Mm,
what area of my life I need to improve, and go and
yes.
search and improve in that area first.
Great, great advice. Thanks, Anthony. And we will continue talking, but we know that you are very busy. I would like to know for all the audience if you have a word or a phrase that, in a way, defines your attitude, because this is attitudable, the name of the podcast, that it's an invented word that defines your life
I
as
love
a
it. I love
human.
I love the name of the podcast.
Thank
I
you.
love it.
Can you share
Uh,
like that word
Yes,
or phrase or
I was, I
something
was,
that?
I will share a phrase that I love. It's called, above all else, guard your heart,
Mm,
protect your heart. From out of it comes everything in life. It comes from the
ah,
Bible.
so beautiful. Thanks so
Yeah,
much, Anthony. Very deep. Thanks so much. I love talking to you today. I love your book and all the webinars or seminars that you also said that you were going to. Are they open, or just we have to register for that?
I have a lot of invitations now with the book that just came out.
Ah,
We will be updating everything on the website. We have
on
a
your
website, thehumaninterpreter.com. It's just promoting the book right now, but the team is working on um, having all my schedules, all the speaking appointments. For example, this week I'll be speaking for the Guatemalan Association of Translators, and
Hi,
so we'll be
great.
updating on, yes, we'll be updating on the website. And I have many Argentinian friends here in New York and all over the place, ATA and all other associations. So we'll be advertising. I'm also working as a program director for the New York Circle of Translators. It's
Yes, amazing.
nyctranslators.org. You can go there. You'll find a lot of the events we promote. But just go to thehumaninterpreter.com, and I hope I can put more resources and a lot of it. I hope to do it for free to give,
Mhm.
because I know I will get back.
Yes, for sure. And also they can buy your book on Amazon, right?
Yes, you go on Amazon, Anthony Alencar, Alencar. The Human Interpreter should be there. There's the audible version, and then there's the physical version that you can buy.
Thanks so much, Anthony. And of course on LinkedIn. They can follow you on LinkedIn
They
that you
can
are
follow
also.
me on LinkedIn. Yes, please. I would love to connect with as many more people as I can on LinkedIn. Anthony Alencar.
Thanks so much, Anthony. And let us all be more human in this AI world.
Let's
Thank
do
you so
it.
much.
No robots.
And thanks everyone for listening. Hope you find it useful and please read the book. Thank you. Bye bye. Till next
Thank you.
chapter.
Bye.
Bye bye.